Let's take two. Good evening, and welcome to Visible Women on LinkedIn. We are live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube with this episode of Visible Women on LinkedIn, which is the final part of a three-part series that we have been doing this week, where we've been having amazing conversation with amazing women from my amazing LinkedIn group coaching program called 8 Weeks to Visible. Yes, I do love the word amazing, and I will be using it a lot in this conversation. But I am so excited tonight to bring you the final part of this three-part series, and I'm in conversation with two awesome women, and we'll be talking all about setting up a business in later life. Now, if you're just tuning in for the first time and you have no idea what this show is about, you have no idea who I am, first of all, hello and welcome. My name is Mildred Talabi, and I am the founder of Visible Women Tribe, and I specialize in helping women to start being visible on LinkedIn and beyond in order to increase your influence, your income, and your impact. So if that sounds like the kind of woman that you want to be, then you better stick around and join us in this conversation on Visible Women on LinkedIn. Now, before I introduce you to my guests for today, I want to know who you are and where you're tuning in from. So if you're watching live, I want you to just drop a hello in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from, because we're broadcasting from the UK's evening right now, but I know there's people watching from all over the world. So whether you're on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or on YouTube, just drop a hello in the comments and let me know who you are. And also let me know what you're looking forward to today. And of course, if you've got any questions about our topic, which I'm going to introduce to you properly in just a second, I want you to feel free to use the comments section, because this is a conversation between you and between me and my guests that I'm about to bring on stage. Now, if you have not been here for the other episodes this week, episode 1 was on Tuesday. We had a great conversation with Marsha and Vimala all about career breakthrough strategies. If you didn't watch that, if you didn't get to see that live, you can catch the replay on my LinkedIn profile, or just go to YouTube under my channel, Mildred Talabi, and you will find it. If you missed yesterday's one, I was in conversation with another two awesome ladies called Amma and Malika. And again, in that segment, we were talking about working from passion. What is it to work from passion and be passionate about the job that you do? So today we're switching gears a little bit, and today we are talking business. And what we're going to talk about specifically is about starting a business in later life. Now, because if you're in business, and by the way, if you are in business, let me know in the comments. Say, yes, that's me, Mildred, I run a business. If you're in careers, also let me know. But let me know. I want to know who's watching, who has a business, because if you do have a business, you will know that entrepreneurship is not easy. I can tell you for a fact it's not easy. If it was, everybody would be doing it. And so it takes courage to set up a business, and it probably does take even more courage to do so in later life, because by that time you've got other responsibilities and other commitments. So I guess the stakes are a whole lot higher at that stage. So that's why tonight, in this final episode of Visible Women on LinkedIn, I'm going to be speaking with two phenomenal women who plucked up the courage to go for their dreams in later life. Now, my first guest today is Sharon. Sharon Gordon has spent the last 3 decades of her career in IT in various roles. She now divides her time between contracting for large companies and providing IT consultancy for startups and small business. So I'm very much looking forward to finding out more about what Sharon does and what she's going to be sharing with us today. My second guest is Anna V. Davidov. Now, Anna is a certified product manager and the founder and CEO of Accelerate Happy, which is a company dedicated to solving our happiness problems through data. So I think we're going to have a good conversation tonight. So if you're thinking of starting your own business, or there's a passion project you've been putting off, or you're just thinking like, right, I don't know, I'm in my next stage of my life and I don't know what I want to do next, and I want you to stay tuned and really get plugged into this conversation. So without further ado, let me introduce to the stage Sharon and Anna. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening, and welcome, welcome, welcome. And hi, Sandra and Mommy. Yes, Mommy runs the business, and Sandra does as well. So, hello. As I said, if you're watching and you're tuning in, drop a hello in the comments and let me know who you are and where you're tuning in from. And of course, use the react button so we know that you're watching. So, Sharon and Anna, it's so good to have you here. And as I said in the intro just now, I want to talk about setting up a business and I want to talk about doing it in a later stage of life. But let's go back to the little versions of yourself, right? Because I want to know, tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, how you grew up, and what kind of things you were interested in as a little girl. So maybe you can kick us off, Sharon.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Mildred. So, I I grew up first of all in South London in the UK. I was actually born in Jamaica, but my mum brought me here when I was a baby for about a year or so, 2 years old. Um, so I grew up in South London first of all, and then we moved over to North London, and um, I always wanted to be a hairdresser. I remember. I said to my mum, I wanted to be a hairdresser. I was always doing stuff to my hair. And she said, no, 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 no. Go and get a proper job. Learn to type, do shorthand, and then go and be a secretary. And that kind of upset me. But I knew I went to college, and I knew that I had a knack for learning stuff. I was so nosy. I wanted to know everything. So I was, even to this day, I'm always on a course. So I'm doing some course somewhere, whether it's online or attending something. But I love learning. Hence why I went into the role of training and helping people. I think that's my middle name, to help people.
Nice. Nice, nice. Okay. And I want to hear a bit more in a second about exactly how you help people and the IT background that you have. So Anna, what about you? How did all this start for you in life?
Well, so I was born in Honduras and I grew up there with a very big family. So I always had a lot of cousins and aunts and uncles around. We always got together for parties and holidays. And so one of my favorite childhood memories is they always involve me getting, cahooting to put all my cousins together to do something to entertain the adults so we could get money to go buy candy. I remember that fondly, things like that. I always was the kid that would tear apart the Christmas gifts I would get. I remember getting a Casio record player, and also at some point I got a electronic um, diary. I remember
Mhm.
taking it apart to see how it worked. So I think um, I hadn't actually thought about that till I knew I was going to have this conversation with you. But I think that's when my hacking days started, right? So it did play out well for me now that when I wanted to start the app that I have started. Yeah.
So
Um,
and we're gonna find out more about the app. So did your parents encourage that breaking apart thing in you? Did they encourage that little ability that you had as a kid?
I think that was genetic. I don't think I ever saw any of my cousins doing that either. It just I was always just curious how things worked, from a very get go. And then as we'll talk a little bit more about what my app does, but happiness, finding out exactly how happiness works was my passion later in life. And so I think it started with that kind of thing. But no, I don't remember my parents, I think maybe more just, being studious and applying myself in school, but not the hacking.
So you had a natural curiosity, Anna, from the time you were young, and Sharon, you had a natural appetite for learning from the time you were young. So you must have been a good student, right, Sharon?
Oh
A
yeah,
stars, that
oh
kind
yeah.
of student.
Well, there was some slippage at times, but I tried my best. But I was easily distracted. Let's just say that I wasn't always as studious as I could have been. I
Okay.
think I was probably bored because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and what I was the questions I'd asked around stuff weren't questions I think that someone of my age would ask. I was very, very curious, and so they would try and box me in and just get me down this path. And I was like, well, no, 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 no. I want to know that. I don't want to know that. I know this bit. I got that bit. I want to know this bit. So that was me.
Okay. All right. So take us on the journey from there. So this natural appetite for learning, how did that lead you into the IT career that you would then go on to have for over 3 decades?
All right. So I did do what my mum said. I went off and I did a private secretary's diploma. I learned shorthand. I learned to type. Studied a bit of law and economics. Didn't like economics at all. Didn't do really very well at that. And law wasn't really. It sounded really boring. However, my first job was for a bank. Stayed there for a little while, and then I went off to be a legal secretary, and then I learnt my trade there. Then I found out that I had an aptitude for picking up applications and information and interpreting it very quickly into a language that people could understand. I remember we went on courses as secretaries, legal secretaries, to learn about the new software that was coming in and the legal jargon, and I got it just like that, and the other secretaries were just like in awe and couldn't understand. So I would go back to the office and they would say, well, what do you think they said? I said, well, they said this. It's quite obvious. And they were okay, and they got what I said when I interpreted it into their language. So then from there I just thought, well, I think I like training people. I like giving people information. Let's see what else I can do. So I went off to be a lecturer for a local authority and started my teacher training from there. And then I went on to be an IT trainer in a big law firm. And the rest is history. I've traveled the world. I've been to, United Arab Emirates. I've been to Qatar. I've been to Dubai and applied my trade and everywhere, all over the UK. I love it. I love giving information. I love, as I said, learning stuff, and I just have this knack, which I don't want to lose as I get older, to pick applications up very quickly and interpret it for someone else to understand it. So that's my thing.
So it seems like identifying your natural temperaments and characteristics and skill, because it's a skill, identifying that early kind of helped you to choose a path early, and which you've stayed in since then. Okay, so Anna, what about you? What was that journey from breaking apart your toys that your parents spent money on? I'm just imagining my kids to do that now. I'll be like, I'm never buying a toy again, But what was your journey from that point to what you do today?
Well, so I think so I started with my putting together these, organizing my cousins to do things at parties, and then I always had that love for parties and making sure everybody was happy, and so, but it wasn't making a career in the happiness field was also peppered by the fact that I lived in a third world country. And so, when I was a teenager, I read voraciously because I wanted to figure out what the secret to happiness was. And I thought that would be found in novels, in literature. And then that transitioned at the time when I had to choose what my major was going to be in college. I decided to study economics, again, because I thought, how that the secret to happiness would be found in economics, right? I thought it had something to do with relieving the world of poverty. And so I transitioned into a career in economics. And so I started as a consultant in a transfer pricing role at a at PricewaterhouseCoopers. And I did that for about 10 years. And what I was doing there is really more back to the hacking thing. I was looking at companies, financials and their functions and how they worked with their related parties overseas. And it was about how company, where the value is, and how companies get compensated fairly, right? I didn't really think ever that there was going to be a link between happiness and transfer pricing, but it ended up that I think maybe it was more in the how do you look at a system and it basically hack the system, right? To know what the essence of it is. So yeah, then I did that for about 10 years, and then I decided to, get into this passion that I have for happiness full time and make it a business. And so, here I am today.
Okay. Tell us about, and I do want to know a bit more about why you're so interested in happiness, but tell us about the app that you've created. What is that? Accelerate Happy. Tell us more about that.
Well, so the app is a platform that has very its mission is to speed up the rate at which people seeking happiness can understand and achieve true long-lasting happiness versus the short fleeting moments of joy that we usually define as happiness, right? To me, happiness is a state of mind, it's a state of being. So once you understand how it is, how it works, you're just there and you never really step out of it. Sometimes it could be that you have sad moments, you have a little bit of depression here and there. Sometimes relationships can get a little bit difficult, but you always know how to get back to your center. And so to me, it's always, it's just a state of being. It's not a fleeting moment. And so my app, I'm hoping to be able to transmit that message to the world, and help a few people, if nothing else, at least my children. They are the driving force behind all this. And yeah.
Okay. We'll come back to that because I want us to unpick more about this happiness and the app that you've created. So, which is really interesting. Sharon, so on a day-to-day basis, tell us, what do you do now on a day-to-day basis? Because I know you contract in IT and you've also now transitioning into consultancy. Tell us more about that.
Well, one of the first things I want to say is, Anna, I need to sign up for your app for more happiness. I'm all about happiness, so we'll talk. So on a day-to-day basis, at the moment, I'm currently working for a retail company behind the scenes in their change and communications department. So and training. So they've got they're upgrading the system, their website, etc. They need help with some training that might be needed. It doesn't always happen that there's training, but in this instance, yes, there's going to need to be some training for some people in certain areas. So I will help them with the communications around that. So sending out the emails to say that this is what's happening, this is the upgrade that's going to take place, this is what you need to know, and then this is what you need to do to access the new piece of software. That goes out. I will also create training guides for them. So whether it's a quick reference guide, whether it's a video, usually small bite-sized videos. I don't want it any longer than necessary because people's attention span when you're training them is very short. Apparently, your attention span is indicative by your age. So a 5-year-old only has about a 5-minute attention span. So I'd like to think that a 40-year-old has a 40-minute attention span. But I will say, for experience, that doesn't always work out. And it does depend on the information that someone's being given, whether they can keep their attention longer than their age. So that's me. Now, the reason I went into working for small businesses and startups, because I was a startup myself many years ago. I started my company back in 2009, but I didn't actually use it very much. And at the time, all I was doing was creating websites for people. And my strapline was, I can create a website for you without, that's not busy, without all the bells and whistles. And all the people that came to me wanted that. They didn't want a website that had stuff flying in all over the place. They wanted it quite streamlined, very straightforward. And, it looked good, but it didn't have a lot of, too much information on it. So that is what I was doing at that time. And then I took a little break from that and went into the corporate world. And then I decided probably about 7 years ago, I think now, to go to being a contractor. And the reason I wanted to do that is because I wanted to do things my way. I wanted to train people the way that I wanted to train them. I'd done it the corporate way, I'd done it the legal way, for a very long time. But I felt that I could do it different. I didn't think I could do it any better. I just think I could do it different and get different results. So that is why I went into doing what I do. So having been a small business and a startup myself, I knew of the I don't want to say pitfalls, but I knew of the pain and the journey that they would go through. So I want to make that help to make that as easy as I can for those coming, behind, myself, you, Anna, people like us. Let me make it a little bit easier for you. I can talk you through what could happen. It's always nice to have someone who understands what you're going through for anything in life. Just to have someone who's on your side, who understands what you're going through, and just to hold your hand. And that's what I want to do.
I love that. Okay, so I want to ask you a similar question, Anna, in terms of your origins of entrepreneurship. But I want to say hello to a few people in the audience. Morgan from Southern California, thanks for tuning in. Mandisa says, I'm going to highlight it here. Visible Women Tribe, you are all amazing. You are women rising to overcome, to overtake, to overrule all financial oppression. Yes, I love that. Thank you, Mandisa. And Mandisa also works in IT, where she says there are very few women of color in leadership. Kimberly, good to have you with us. Kimberly says she loves that analogy. Age and attention. Yes, very, very good. And there's a LinkedIn user who agrees, but for some reason it's not showing your name. So please drop your name in the comments. But okay, so back to you ladies. Anna, did you at some point know that you were going to start your own business in future? Was that something that was in the back of your mind, or did you just fall into it?
I think that I fell into it. It just, life happened. I was not by any means planning to become an entrepreneur. I was very comfortable in my consulting role. It was a good, solid job. And I had seen my career path, to partnership before 40 and all the big whistles. But then, life happened. I had my child after, years of trying, and I had started my MBA at the same time, and I had help my family with some legal issues that my extended family was having, and so it just became too much to handle. So I left my consulting job thinking that I would go back to the MBA, and then things just one thing led to another. I just kept being pushed away from the consulting. And then, my mind is always thinking of, how to keep myself, busy, how to keep figuring things out. And so my first dabbling into entrepreneurship actually is a organic school supplies company that I started because my younger child always ate the crayons and he would eat all the Play-Doh. And I was always worried of the chemicals he was putting in his body. So I started doing, everything from scratch with things in my pantry for him. So that's when I started my first business. I started on Etsy, and it was very, we all live in a time, we are very blessed that the technology is at our fingertips. It's just so easy, to get started, be it with a website like Sharon could help you do, or the putting a product out there on Etsy or Amazon. You just start with one product. And then I kept thinking about what else to add to the lineup, and one thing led to another. Before I knew it, it was a company, and so that one I'm actually in the in scaling it up. I've actually just found a consulting firm that's helping me get a factory, because I've gotten a good interest from big retailers. So I'm going to start with I call it an organic school glue. So yeah, that was my first venture into entrepreneurship. And the Accelerate Happy app came in later because, again, I just keep thinking of things to do, and I love data. I'm a numbers person. So while I was doing everything else, I started informally putting together a data sample of what makes a person happy. And so, and then you have SurveyMonkey. So I used SurveyMonkey to put together a sample of about 500 observations. And it turned into a theory, which is the base of what the whole app is.
Wow, that is pretty powerful. And LinkedIn use, I think that is Jackie from Nairobi, says necessity is the mother of invention and entrepreneurial opportunities. So you had to kind of become an entrepreneur for the sake of your child. It sounded like, so you spotted a gap in the market and you just went for it. Were you afraid? Did you think, is this going to work? Or were you just kind of driven by this passion to create this thing that you could see in your mind?
I think I was just trying to have fun. I was trying to do something different. I loved Etsy as a customer. And I thought, well, why not? It might. I'm also at that point I wasn't making any money because I had left my job, and so I always find fun in making money. So I just put it out there, and it was so easy, and the whole Etsy setup is so pretty, so beautiful. And then once you start getting one customer, another one, it keeps you going, and it energizes you naturally.
Oh yes, making money is fun. Yeah, we gotta generate income, right? It buys us choice. Money buys you choice, and I love that. If you're watching and you've got any questions for Anna and Sharon, please drop it in the comments. On that note, I had a question come in via email for you, Sharon, and it was from Mandy. I don't know if Mandy's tuning in live. She said, could you please ask Sharon, because Mandy has a similar background to you in terms of IT and senior IT leadership, and is now transitioning into consulting, etc. So she said, could you please ask Sharon how she used her experience in IT to leverage into the consulting space, contracting consulting space? So how did you make that move?
That move over? Well, because I've been in the industry for a really long time, there was a lot of information going in here. I'd always rewrite manuals for my way of saying it and doing it, and for people. When I became a contractor, I think my head was in a space where I thought, I can do this. I've got all this knowledge and information. I've been doing it for long enough. I can do this on my own. I really don't need the massive support team that I thought I needed. So I just went for it. And I was at a point in my life, I was over 50, when I thought I can do this. So I left a full-time job, much to quite a few people's oh, really? You're leaving a full-time job to go contracting? But I knew And I said to myself, I would never be out of a job. I would never be without a contract unless I wanted to be. And touch wood, I never was. And I haven't been. I think there might have been maybe, no, I can't say. I was going to say there might have been a month, if that. There was only a month in all the 7 years where I was out of work. But all of the time that I didn't have a role is because I chose not to. So I could, you'd contract for months, save up a pot of money, and then I would take time off. I remember I took time off for one of my big birthdays a few years ago. So I took a whole month off because I could. And I thought at that time it was, I'd worked really hard and I'd got to, an age, and I thought, well, I need to have some fun. So I took time off and that was it. I had an aunt come over from Florida. She was here 2 weeks. She's never lived so good. I was spoiling me. She was getting spoiled as well because she was on the journey with me. So, but I could do that because I had put my head down, and that was it. I kept in touch with my trainer friends. I kept in touch with people in the industry that I met along the way, who were doing the same thing as me. Some had transitioned to being contractors, some were still within the corporate and financial world, etc., etc. But I just kept in touch with agencies and people that were in the industry, and was always hitting them up for information. What are you doing now? Have you got any positions in this? I'm doing this at the moment. Updating my CV. My CV is on point, always up to date. Even if I'm in a role for 6 months, a year, my CV is constantly being updated. And that's one of the things that I would say to anyone: always have your CV up to date. And it's no slight on your employer if you're doing that. I think you're always prepared because you never know what's going to come up, what you're going to be able to do. If you're comfortable in what you're doing, then that's fine. But if you know that there's a step up the ladder and you're going to go on, keep your CV up to date.
So do you think, and this is for both of you as well, do you think that starting a business later on in life is an advantage or a disadvantage, or neither? Where does that, where do you sit on that? Do you think it's been a blessing or a curse? Well, obviously not a curse, but
for me, I think it's been a bit. I think I would say it's been more of a blessing than a curse, because, as I said, my head was in a place where I think I can do this, and I would, get out of bed every morning knowing that this is something I've chosen to do, so I've got to make it work, and that's what I did, and that's what's driven me all the time.
What about you, Anna?
Well, I think that anytime, whenever you're inspired by something you love, it's, but whether you are, 10 years old or 50, I think anytime is a good time to do what you're passionate about. So I don't think age has an issue. Maybe in tech, I know in the past, maybe about 10 years ago, it was more of a stigma, right? That hackers, that people that could be successful in tech are the young guys. They these typing all night long. But no, I think that is no longer the case in tech. And I think there's a lot of space in tech out there for wisdom, right? Wisdom in any field is always appreciated and valued, is what I have found. And so no, I mean, it's so easy nowadays with the technology, with the AI, to put together a tech stack, a company from scratch, that I say just go for it. You start, don't try to anticipate everything, because you get overwhelmed. But just start with baby steps and try to have fun every step.
And it's good that you brought up that what you said about the tech sector, because you are in the tech space, and traditionally when you think of tech business, the classic stereotype is the Mark Zuckerberg young white guy in Silicon Valley, typing away, as you said. So was there any kind of, not so much backlash, but was there anybody in your family, maybe friends perhaps, who kind of said, you know what, you shouldn't be doing this, you should go and find yourself a full-time job or anything? Did you experience any of that at all?
Yes, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it does get a little bit challenging sometimes. But if you have your passion, it's such a driving force that it will get through any of that. I guess you can call it noise. Um, and so, yeah, just follow your dreams. I think in my personal case, um, um, I've been very lucky because I have had the support of everybody. Um, um, I think it was just more that, I mentioned that I like making money. And so people in my family thought that perhaps if I was doing that, I would be happy. But the fact is that the thing that makes me happiest is to follow my passion. And being an entrepreneur is tough sometimes. But I think it's just like in anything in life, a career can also have its challenges. So just keep at it.
Mm,
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
Yes, I think this is Jackie says passion, purpose driven life is the issue, maybe. So it does sound like there's a lot of passion and purpose for both of you. Would you say that's the case for you too, Sharon? There's a lot of passion
Oh,
and purpose in what you do.
that's 100%. I was gonna, pick up on what that LinkedIn user said there. But what your passion is, and I think Anna might have alluded to it as well. If you are passionate about something, no one or nothing will deter you from that. You're on this path, and as long as you believe in you, then you will be good. You could be good to go. There's always going to be someone who's got your back, who's on your side, or maybe some people, or it might be that those people who you currently have around you aren't the people who are there for you, who want you to do good, because we all know that there are some people out there who don't want us to do good because it makes them look bad. um, but if you take that on board, you'll never do anything. Nobody will do anything. So if you feel that you're not getting the support that you need, find a space where you are.
Hmm.
Find the people that will support you. Find the people that will give you the support that you need, that will help you on your journey of, with your passion of what you want to do.
Yes, and actually that's a great point, Sharon, because um, a big help in keeping my interest in growing the companies further has been
Hmm.
the support network, right? And oftentimes the support network has to extend past to your family and friends, right?
Right,
Because
100%.
I have found that, I mean, I've always been someone to try to do everything on my own. It's just my first instinct. And in
Yeah.
this journey, I have found that, when you say that it takes a village, it's not just to raise a child, it's also to raise a business, it's to raise yourself.
100%.
So getting
Love it.
mentors, every step of the way is I have found is absolutely necessary, really. And
Yeah.
for
And this
example,
is
like
what
now
brought us,
exactly.
and that's why we're here, yeah?
Yeah.
Because we both um, realized that we needed someone who was going to be, was able to show us the way somewhere. And we came upon Mildred, and I am, I'm very grateful to her for that. I'm so glad I've met you and the other ladies on the course, and I have to say I've been so inspired by all of you. The journey. Malika, just with the children. Gosh, how many under five? And she's still got running a home and a full-time job. I've got to say my hats off to her. She's doing really well. Oh, hi Nicole,
Yes.
my daughter.
Yeah, I love your daughter, but a few
It's in
hands.
the
Hi,
comments.
Ashley. Hi, Michelle. Jumping in, and it was Marcia who said that about Purpose. Hi, Nicole. Nicole, Sharon's proud daughter is on the line. Yes, I love it. Hi, Nicole. Thank you for joining us. With what because Anna, you also said this about family, and Sharon, your daughter's on the line, and I know family matters to both of you. So part of the
Mhm.
thing about starting a business, or leaving full-time employment in later life, is that at that point you would have gathered lots more responsibility, kids, whatever the age they might be. I mean, both of you've got slightly older kids now. So what's the
Mhm.
scenario at home for you? Like, what kind of considerations do you have to go into for your business? So Sharon, for example, I know your kids are older, so the
Yeah.
challenges or the what you juggle is slightly different and to yours, Anna. So
Mhm.
give us a little insight as to what your home life is like and how
Um,
that impacts your business.
um, well, I've got two daughters, two grown women who grown, and I have two grandchildren. And with starting my business, what I also wanted to do, I was looking at a good work-life balance. So I was a working mum. I had two jobs, two children. So it was a case of doing the first job, going and picking up the kids, dropping them off to a childminder, and going and do the evening, work. So my kids were they didn't see me all the time. However, think it's done bad because they are both very, very hardworking young ladies that I am very, very proud of. So they've definitely got that work ethic from me. But I want to have a good work life balance. I wanted to see my grandkids, So whenever my daughter says to me, "Oh, mum, she needs to do this. She's got to see a client or she's got to do some work. Will you?" And 9 times out of 10, I'll say, "Yeah, I will. I will do it because I want to spend time with my grandkids. I don't want to be an absentee grandma." Um, and then kicking myself when I don't, they've gone off and I've not had any experience in their life. So that's what the balance is there for me. So I'm balancing having a business, and the reason that I chose to have a business is because I could control my time. This wasn't about what anyone else said. This is my time.
Mm.
I'll work when I want to work, as hard as I want to work, and then I will stop when I want to stop, or take a moment. Okay, and that's it. So that was how I feel about it.
Lovely.
Yeah, for me, it's very similar for me. I mean, I have a lot going on. And at some point, I did go back into the career that I was having. But then again, life happened. My mother needed a heart transplant. And so I decided to devote to her, helping her. And that was a journey of 3 years it took us, but she finally did get a new heart. It was right, actually, we put her in the hospital the day one the COVID started in New York. And that was where we were in New York. So, life happens, you have to deal with it. So it was either a lot of travel or managing all my children's activities. They are both very active after school and with sports. And obviously, the home, taking care of the home, and not for you have to always balance your relationship as well, right? You have to make time for you and your loved
Mhm.
ones. And then I have two companies, right? Not just one. So it's a challenge, but again, it all goes for me. It always goes back to my passion. I try to make it, so making time for me means that I'm going to make time to work on what I love. My tech baby. So
Yeah.
so yeah, it's a balancing act. It's definitely. Uh, I like to say that it's more about energy management than time management. Um,
Mm.
yeah, that's the way I view it.
How do you
Yeah.
differentiate the two, energy and time?
Well, I mean, sometimes, um, well, it's a very good question. I've never had to answer that. It's an abstract concept. But let's see. Sometimes you have, you know, a burst of energy, a burst of inspiration, and in 5 minutes you can get so much done, right?
Mm.
Whereas, so like basically you try to bank on those moments and sit at your desk and try to get that tweak to your app or tweak to your website done when you have that inspiration, and then get it done in 5 minutes, rather than, oh my gosh, I got to make 2 hours of time so that I can, sit on and do this. So yeah, basically I try to maneuver through those moments of high energy.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Anna, about that. When I've got the energy, and it could be at some silly o'clock, it doesn't really
Exactly.
matter. If I have the energy, if I'm awake at 3 and I can't get back to sleep at 3 a.m., then you will probably find me on my computer getting something out of my head, a thought, writing it down or something like that. I used to, people say to me, oh, you need to go back to sleep and do this. But I'm thinking I'm awake for a reason. And I'm a great believer in the fact that if I can't sleep, there's something in my head that I need to get out. So once I've identified that something, it's written down or I've typed it up, whatever I need to do. And then I can go back to sleep and I'm good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with
Yeah.
that completely. I think one of the things that I've liked one of the sayings that someone has told me along the way is that having to sleep 8 hours a night is a myth.
Oh
Some
yeah.
people can go. I know some people that can go in 2 hours. I know that's extreme. It's extreme. But yeah, it's whenever you have your energy, and
Yeah.
a lot of myths
And
out there that you have to dispel in this journey.
I used to be on the 8 hours thing, and I loved my 8 hours, and then I had kids. It's like, forget 8 hours. If I can get 5, I'm doing well. So
Absolutely.
that's the
yeah,
thing.
100%.
Yeah, I totally get that. You have to manage both your time and energy. Mandisa
Yeah.
says, this is the inspiration I need. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in, Mandisa. And somebody, I think her name is Louise, says she knows you, Sharon, and she thinks that you're absolutely wonderful. She worked with you for years, So that is brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Good to see you, Hannah. Hannah says, I love your why. I love your why, Sharon.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
but yes, please keep it coming. Keep it coming. Christine says, I've just come across your session. I'm quite inspired so far. And I have a purpose-driven outlook on life too. Wonderful. Thank you for joining us,
Brilliant.
Christine. Okay, so in the last, we're coming up to about 10 minutes left to this. And I do want to get to the visibility part, because this is called Visible Women on LinkedIn for a reason. But I want to ask one final question, again posed by email. And this was again from Mandy. She wants to know from both of you ladies, what are the mindset challenges that you have experienced as later life business owners? So talk about some of the mindset transitions that you had to go through or think differently from when you were younger, perhaps, however you want to approach that question.
Anna, do you want to go first?
Well, I think, when you say mindset, really the concept that came to my mind was the growth mindset, right? So, and I've also recently finished a certification in product management. So growth mindset is a big deal in product management. But I think more than anything, going back to the conversation we just had about sleep, my mindset changed in having to break through the myths that I thought, that I had to abide my life by. For example, having to sleep 8 hours a day, or that you could not make an app unless you had $200,000 in the bank. That is completely not true. Technology now makes it so easy. You just have to, I think, if you sit and do Google about whatever it is, the topic that you're interested in, and look into the technology available for it, there's a ton of ways to make it become very, low budget. Just bootstrap it. I've been bootstrapping all the way. So yeah, I think that's the biggest change. Just tweaks in increasing my view of what is really possible. So much is possible now. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'd like that. So there is so much technology has moved on so much in the 3 or more decades that I've been in it. I've seen so much um change in technology, and it's scary how fast it's going. um Mildred, your question about mindset, I think, for me, as I said, I'd got to a point and an age in my life when I thought I could do this, and I could do this standing on my own. And that's what I did. um don't get me wrong, there are times still when I think, um is this the right thing that I'm doing? Am I getting too old for this? But there's this little Sharon on this shoulder here saying age is just a number. So just go do what you need to do, find the people who can support you, and go and do it, and stop procrastinating, stop doubting yourself, because every time I do that, something happens. And I know my daughter will laugh about this. The amount of synchronicity and synchronization that's been going on recently around me has been pretty scary. That every time I have a negative thought, there's about 3 or 4 really positive actions or thoughts that come up. Whether it's a person, whether it's a saying, or I read something in a paper or something like that. Something happens to push me back into that zone of, do you know what, Sharon, you are good to go. You're on the right path. And so mindset is very important. Your mindset is important. Someone else's mindset is not your business.
Mm. I like that, and I like that. Both great answers, and both reflective of each of you as individuals. Okay, so let's talk about another thing that requires mindset, and that's being visible. That's being visible on LinkedIn, showing up on this platform, and everything that goes with it. So, what led you to the place, both of you, where you thought, you know what, enough is enough. It's time for me to stop hiding, start being visible. What was that conversation in your head? How did you get to this place?
Well, for me, my app business got to a point where it's already taking good shape. We are in pre-launch, and so at that point, you start thinking about how you're going to get traction. It becomes a necessity, and so I looked at social media for it, and for twofold, I wanted to use it also as a customer validation tool. And then I was also thinking of ways to increase my presence as in thought leadership in the field that I'm at. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So it's like it was a marketing thing for you. I've got this product. I need to get it out there. No one's gonna know about it unless I start showing up and being visible. Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. What about you, Sharon?
I've reached a junction in my career. I wanted to step up my business. It had been on the back burner for a little while, due to some health issues, but I came back renewed and with great vigor, and thinking, do you know what, I need to get out there and let people know about me, that I'm here, and that they need me. And though I'd been on LinkedIn coasting for a few years in the background, I hadn't really used it to its fullest degree. So when your course came up, I thought, this is ideal. This is what I want to do. So, how to be visible on LinkedIn. It was a no-brainer, but it's also given me the kick to also use the other platforms that I have, as well, to find my ideal audience, to connect with my ideal audience, and give people out there who need everything. And not everyone's on LinkedIn. There's a lot of people on LinkedIn, but there's a lot of people on Twitter and Facebook, etc., etc. So I'm going to use my knowledge and information across the platforms to connect with the people that need me to connect with them. They may not know it yet, but they're going to find out, because I'm going to be getting visible all over the place.
I love it. But Sharon, you said some dirty words there. We don't talk about
I
the
know.
platforms.
I did. Okay,
Let me talk about
forgive me.
LinkedIn.
No,
I'm joking. I totally understand because it is
yeah,
about
no,
having a presence.
you dragged me kicking and screaming on LinkedIn and making me post. So but do you know what? It's been such a wonderful and such a journey. I've had such laughs um, doing it, and being visible or getting visible on LinkedIn really hasn't been as painful as I thought it would be. It's not too bad. It's just it's being consistent. It's
Mm,
being consistent and knowing what you want and just going ahead and doing it. You've got a structure, stick to it, and away you go.
mm. What was the
Mhm.
biggest challenge you overcame personally in this journey to being visible? Both of you. Anna, you can take that one first.
For me again, it's about the time and energy management. Posting because um, I guess you challenged us, Mildred, in the course to post at least 3 times a week. So that has been the biggest challenge for me. Like Sharon said, it's consistency, just keeping consistent on those 3 times a week.
Mhm.
Fantastic.
I think, yeah, the 3 times a week, that number kind of it felt like it was yeah, digging me. So I do post probably. It depends. It fluctuates 3 times a week, and sometimes it's more. If I have that burst of energy that you were talking about, Phil, and I could probably post a couple of times a day and maybe 4 or 5 times a week. But I'm not beating myself up about the fact that I haven't posted, at this time, and this time during the day, or this day, this day, this day. Um, I know that I need to post enough, so I've got my Word document, and I'll put my 3 a.m. thoughts in that document. And when I get up, when I feel I want to put, I will post it, and it will get it. It gets its traction. But I
Mm,
won't beat myself up if I don't post. When I think I should.
yes.
Hmm.
So that no, that's good because if there's all kind of condemnation and all this burden, it takes away the joy from it. And
Hmm.
as you said earlier, Anna, it's about having fun with your business, with visibility. Otherwise, if you don't enjoy it, you're not gonna be able to sustain it for the long run. That's the truth. So
Hmm.
in the final minute that we have, I want you to there's a lady watching. I don't know who she is, but she's thinking, you know what? I feel like this is me. I've been hiding. I'm now in my later life. I'm thinking I've got this business that I want to start. I know I need to be more visible or all of that kind of stuff. What is your number one piece of advice that you're going to give to her right now in 30 seconds?
I think I'm going to say that you have to follow your dreams and just take baby steps, one step at a time. It'll all be fun. The whole journey is fun.
Awesome.
Hmm. Definitely. I think for me, it's believe in yourself. Um, and if nobody does, then don't think that you're worth anything less. Find the people who will support you and go do what your passion is. Go do what you want to do. That's it. Hmm.
Lovely. I love it. I love it. Have fun and believe in yourself. That is a message that we can
Hmm.
definitely take as a mantra for life. So, ladies, Anna and Sharon, it has been an absolute pleasure. We're at the top of the hour now, so we are going to have to say goodbye. But if anybody wants to connect with you, what can they reach out to you for? So, Anna, what with the app? Can people download the app now? Sharon, are you looking for clients? Tell me what people can reach out to you for.
Well, yeah, absolutely. For me, if you're curious to see how the concept I came to put together in thinking about how to take happiness, speed up the process of happiness, just um, I'm looking for feedback in that area. The app is also on the App Store. If you want to go ahead and download it, yeah, I need all the feedback I can get at this point.
Awesome,
Okay,
awesome.
cool. Um, for me, well, I'm on LinkedIn, so and I've been very visible. So if you haven't seen me yet, then you might have been asleep. So come find me on LinkedIn. Mildred's on LinkedIn. Anna's on LinkedIn. Come and find us. And if you want to talk about starting your own business, mindset, having the right people around you. If you want someone to just talk to, then yeah, again, reach out to me, because I can do all of that for you, because I remember when I was back at the starting gate and I was starting my business and who I had around me, and there wasn't many people there. So yeah, if you just want to talk about it, then yeah, go, just hit me up on LinkedIn.
I love it. Awesome. With that, we are going to leave it there. So, yes, please reach out to Sharon, reach out to Anna via LinkedIn. Let them know you watched them on here. If there's any nuggets that they said today that particularly resonated with you, drop it in the comments, even if you're watching on replay as well. So, thank you so much, Sharon. And thank you, Anna, for being here with us tonight and sharing your wisdom. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you,
having us.
Mildred.
Take care. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, everyone for
Thank you,
attending.
ladies.
Bye.
We'll see you over on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, and we are going to, that wraps up this final episode of Visible Women on LinkedIn, this special edition series of Visible Women on LinkedIn. Now, I hope you were inspired by that, and thank you so much for everybody who tuned in and left comments and joined in. And if you're watching on replay as well, thank you for tuning in and putting it on replay. So this is the end of the session. The Visible Women on LinkedIn show is a show that I started about maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. So, and then I ended it this year. But as I said at the beginning of the series this week, these women are so awesome. I just wanted to give them an outlet for you to get to know them and connect with them yourselves. If you want to watch any previous editions of Visible Women, whether this series that we had this week or previous, please go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Mildred Talabi. Just tap my name and you'll see a playlist with all the previous episodes of Visible Women on LinkedIn. So, and if you are here and you're watching this and you're thinking, Mildred, I want to be a visible woman on LinkedIn, I want to know more about building my visibility on LinkedIn, then please do reach out, send me a DM. The program that both Sharon and Anna have been on, and Malika and Amma and Vimala and Marsha, you know, all this week that we've had the conversation, is called 8 Weeks to Visible. That is my group coaching program, LinkedIn group coaching program that I run twice a year at the moment in April and in October. So the next one will be in April. If you want to get in touch, join the waiting list, do send me a DM. But for now, I am going to love you and leave you. And I'm going to thank you so much for joining in tonight. Thank you for being with us this week. And whatever you do, don't hide. Keep on going. Start being visible. It is never, ever, ever too late to start. And I'm, whether, as we said today, whether you're starting at 50 or starting at 25, it is never too late to start as long as you just start. So with that said, I'm not starting now. I'm finishing because it's time to go. So thank you so much. And I'll see you over on LinkedIn. Please connect if you haven't already. And all the best for the evening and beyond. Bye-bye now.